Welcome to the School Garden Podcast with Mary Jo and Anne. No matter where you are in your school garden journey, whether you are an experienced garden teacher, a novice parent helper, or a struggling home educator, we are here to help you and your kiddos in your garden space. Come and dig in with us because school gardens matter.
Welcome to the School Garden Podcast, a podcast by school educators for school educators. And we are so glad you're here for our Join in the Fun Fall Festival episode, where we're going to talk all about ways you can integrate into festivals at your school.
Yeah.
But before we start, I want to ask Mary Jo, how was your week?
Hi, Anne. Here we are again. How was my week? Gosh, I bet we're all busy. Are you busy, Anne?
So busy.
And every year at this time, we just get so busy, don't we? But I just wanted to share something, and you'll totally appreciate this, as will anybody else who goes into schools like we do, school gardeners, or anybody else that does this kind of job that takes an enormous amount of preparation. So we're filling our cars the night before, aren't we? We're going around, we're getting the materials, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're tweaking materials because we want it to be just right for the particular school that we're going to, kind of thing. So we went to a school and genuinely get there at 6:30. You know how it goes.
Yes.
We're there and we're taking all the stuff and you're gardening and you're setting up for it at school. And then you head to the school, don't you? You head in and they're like, "Oh, have you just arrived?"
I'm here an hour.
Exactly. And you go, "No. Good morning. No. Been here a while. As a matter of fact, the reason you didn't see me is because when I got here, it was dark." Just wanted to share that because I bet you any money there's a lot of people listening who feel exactly like that.
Yes.
So this Groundhog Day of, oh gosh, preparing, getting ready, then loading up the car, unloading the car, and all that kind of thing. So anyway, it was really funny. It was just like that. Oh, we just got here.
Oh.
Right. Anyway, but a good week nonetheless. Full and busy, I think that basically explains October. Well, no, we're not October. When's October?
That's right. We're still
Still
September.
September. And okay, full and busy in October too.
That's right. That's right. So, in this episode, we want to talk about ways to integrate the garden into the life of your school.
Yeah.
Like keeping the garden at the forefront of your family and staff's minds is one of the keys to having a successful program because it's not just about the garden, it's about who supports the garden. So, what's fantastic about this time of year is there are so many events that naturally happen at the campus each fall. There are school carnivals, fall festivals, family math or literacy nights, open houses,
Yeah.
and then Halloween events that pop up. And these offer the opportunity to have a booth or an activity or a table. And that makes you the champion with the event organizers.
Oh, I'll say
because
so.
they're always looking for additional things for
Yes.
families to do.
And what's more fun than garden stuff?
Exactly.
It's such a hit.
I know, and it helps you showcase your program in wonderful ways.
It does. I'm starting to find that there's a whole bunch of faculty meetings, and I've seen that some garden programs have been tagging on an extra 15 minutes at the end of it when you're walking back to the car park to go home, have a quick walk through the garden and see what's going on as well. It's just wonderful to see. Again, an extra 15 minutes, at the end of the day, it's really, really worth it as well. And I know that when I started at some school gardens and the garden was very new within the school, once we'd started to put on a couple events or incorporate the garden into what was already happening these weekends, or the Halloween, the trunk or treat. Is that what how do you say it here?
Trunk or treat.
Trunk or treat. And, the open houses, the math night, that kind of thing. And once we were able to incorporate the garden somehow, the garden started to become a true part of the school community. And I remember when it was one of the little preschool and the school was there and a lot of parents were going, "Oh my gosh, I never knew this was here."
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize she comes home every day and talks about da 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 da. I thought it was wrapped up in something else that was going on in school as well. So don't be surprised if actually quite a lot of parents, family, community members have no idea that the school even has a garden.
Exactly. They're often tucked away, and you don't see them unless you're taking your child to their portable where the garden is, etc.
Exactly.
So, thinking about what I've done at my school,
Mhm.
I know that we have a fall carnival and we have a school open house all before November. And I try to attend each year and I set up an activity area for our students.
Yeah.
And I found that helps me meet families, to engage with kids outside the school day, which is always fun because they're surprised not to see you in the garden during school.
Yeah.
And so I host an activity table or activities at these events. And sometimes I invite a couple friends of mine to come help so that the volunteers core of the school isn't affected. And it makes it even more fun. So I thought I'd share some things I've learned the hard way in working with events at a school.
Oh, please share
I
those.
know.
Let's save some people some time in this very busy time of year.
Yes, exactly. Let's save you some time. You want to keep the activity simple, something that just takes a few minutes, but it has something they take home.
Yes.
So they are leaving with something that reminds them of the garden.
Yeah.
This took me 2 years to figure out. I don't know why. Print the directions and hide them on the table so families know what to do. It saves your voice from telling the same directions over and over again. And if you get really busy, they can take care of those things for you. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this podcast if it took me 2 years to figure that out.
No, there's a very reason we should be doing this podcast, Dan.
Exactly.
People need to benefit from our years of massive failures.
That's right. If you're giving them a plant to take home, make sure you print out care cards or directions so they know how to take care of it. You'd probably talk to them about it, but they're probably having so much fun at the event they may have forgotten.
Yeah.
So a card does help.
Oh, a lot of people just nod, don't they? You know, when you start to give instructions about taking care of plants or when to sow, it's like when anybody gives me directions to drive, I just go, yeah, nod, nod,
Right.
like in one ear, out
At
the
the
other.
other.
That's exactly what happens with plants and people.
Yes. Um, have helpers on hand. Try, do not do this alone.
Yeah.
Friends, other teachers, students
Yeah.
will make the event move more smoothly for everyone.
Mhm.
If the event is being held near the garden, offer to have your station in the garden so folks see it
Yeah.
firsthand. Now, if it's not conveniently close, then you may want to have your station in the middle of the action. Nothing is sadder for me than having so much set up and no one comes because they don't know about it or it's too far away.
Yeah, and I kind of feel that sometimes it gets dark, doesn't it?
Yes,
And very rarely do the gardens have any lighting in it. So once it gets dark, nobody's going to come. Well, nobody can see for starters. So I know what you mean. So if it is incorporated and it's close to the building, fantastic to have it in the garden. But like you say, a lot of trouble for then nobody to visit.
I know.
Mhm.
It is sad. Not that that's happened to me. Speaking for a friend, of course. So here are some activities I've done that seem to work well. Cup planters.
Yep.
You use small cups that you fill with soil, then you water it well, add seeds, and then a low soil on top. It's always popular. One year I put googly eyes on the cup and I planted catgrass or wheat seeds so that their cup would have hair.
Think,
So think chia.
yeah.
Chia plant,
Did
really
everybody
cheap.
hear the googly eyes there?
I
We
know.
cannot have an
Googly eye.
episode
I know.
without a mention of the googly eyes.
Yes. I keep them in my trunk now. So, one thing that I've learned to do too with cup planters is give them a Ziploc bag to put it
Yeah.
in because the cup is going to spill.
It will.
And that way it doesn't make a mess in the car. And we just tell them put everything back in the cup
Yeah,
and you are good to go.
exactly.
It'll be fine. My next favorite thing to do is quirky leaf creatures. Either I or the kids gather leaves from around the garden, and then we have a big piece of butcher paper or individual pieces of paper. I've done it differently over the years, and they glue their leaves onto the paper to create a creature.
Oh, yeah.
And they can use markers and
Yeah.
crayons to create these lovely creatures. If you're doing it on butcher paper, then you can display it in the school
Sure.
after the
Yes.
event. Again, great place for googly eyes. I'm just saying. Guessing contests that showcase what grow in the garden I thought have also been popular.
Yes.
So one year I happened to grow those huge mammoth sunflowers and I put one on the table and the students had to guess how many seeds were inside. And the student that was closest won and their name was announced on the announcements a few days later.
Yeah.
So I have the kids help me count the seeds afterwards
Mhm.
and that really saves me time and it's interesting for them.
Do you actually then go away and count all the seeds out of it? Oh,
Either
yes.
myself or the
Or
student
just,
help me.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Independently adjudicated.
That's right. I know, that's right. Price
Yeah.
and Waterhouse.
Yeah.
If you grow loofahs, I mean, how many episodes this year can we mention the word loofah?
Let's put some googly eyes on the loofah,
There
and
you
then I think make it
oh,
in every
idea
episode.
accepted.
I know, but honestly, this week on loofahs, just the joy of joy.
They're so popular. So
So
if you
popular.
have those, put them on the table and ask the students to guess how many seeds are inside. Again, afterwards, have them help you count.
Yeah.
And then the winner is announced on the announcements, and maybe they get to take the loofah home.
Yeah. Oh, top
That
prize.
it is a top prize. You can also, if you don't have those things, you can fill water bottles with seeds and have the student guess how many seeds are inside. And you want to have slips of paper in a jar for collecting their guesses. Another thing I like to do is tasting stations with families.
Yes.
And they can try garden items
Mm,
like kale and
yes.
lettuce and fall things that you've grown,
Yeah.
starting about 8 weeks before the event, start to grow some stuff
Yeah.
and let them try. Or if you don't have that, do an apple taste test.
Yeah.
Getting 4 or 5 different types of apples and letting families try different apples
Yeah.
and discern which is their
Yeah,
favorite.
exactly. Or you buying an example from the store, but it's growing in the garden at the moment. Do you know what I mean? Like, we are growing kale, have a taste of it. Da, 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 da. Ours is going to taste much better. That kind of
Exactly.
thing. But I love that. I think tasting does a really great experience for everybody.
I think so. And then finally, if I am able to be in the garden, I have the families
Yeah.
decorate seed packets and they find seeds in the garden they want to take home.
Yeah.
I label the plants that have seeds that are ready. Like this time
Yeah.
of year, it will be basil.
Yes.
The fennel is starting to seed. And so they get to take those home. But I do make sure I label those
Hmm.
plants so the families learn to identify them and they know what to take home.
Yeah, definitely.
So, what else do you do, Mary Jo? What would you suggest?
Yeah, so whenever I get them in carnivals or kind of open houses, I'm generally in the garden. I think scavenger hunts work brilliantly. A piece of paper and a little clipboard, and they have to go and show their parent or grandparent or whomever they brought. Find the irrigation, show them the place where we keep our tools. Find your favorite spot, find a flowers, find something that smells nice, and that kind of thing. And then really simple, 6 boxes, something like that, and then a little prize for completion. And that's it. But that every corner of the garden has been visited, and it's lovely to watch a kid that follows the rules in a garden tell their parents off when they're standing in the wrong place or doing it wrong and stuff. And I really enjoy that, I must admit, particularly with our younger. They feel such a sense of, I don't know, ownership over the space and stuff as they're showing around and pointing things out. So yeah, definitely a scavenger hunt if you can. When we talked about what you were going to say is about taking things home, but I also look, definitely for sure, share the garden, get it to be taken home. It can be a conversation piece on the way home or days afterwards as they come across, the seeds or the pot, that kind of thing. But I also like having activities of things that then stay in the garden. So these could be, things like sign making is really good. Kids kind of like coloring in or making radish signs and that kind of stuff. Painting rocks if you've got the time. Quite often you want quick kind of couple of minute kind of activities and stuff. But if you do have time, that kind of thing. Maybe making a pine cone bird feeder, a couple of friends can come together and do that. And like you said, I think seed packets are absolutely fantastic. Really simple, really easy to do. But also inviting people to take herbs with them as well. Take a few snips of some herbs, some rosemary, some thyme, that kind of stuff, and then take that away. It, always happens to me every single time I do an open house. That it always brings out the gardener in the adult who is visiting, and they always want to talk garden. Always drifts into asking for advice. It always drifts into sharing advice, or it always drifts into them wanting to have a kind of conversation about good garden practice. Always, absolutely always. And sometimes I can have a line of people waiting just to kind of like catch my eye and, hey, can I have a word with you? Why are you doing so well with this? Mine has trouble at home. What do you do about squirrels? Composting always comes up. It's always the opportunity for me to have some very polite and serious kind of like PR conversations about good organic practices because that's how we garden in the school garden. It's a good opportunity for us to share about how we garden and how the kids are gardening in that garden space because no doubt there'll be somebody that says, just chuck a load of Roundup on it. And we're like, oh, we kind of tend not to do that. And it opens up a door to then sharing some good practices. So when I ever do attend an open house, I always expect that there's going to be conversations about gardening, and two, I then prepare for it because it's just happened too many times for me to not do that now.
Hmm.
So if I can, I like to set up a table or a little area or just a little bit of a place with some signs or some writing or some examples of stuff just to highlight the practice that we do in the garden for good organic gardening practices. So maybe just an example of homemade compost. We do this in the garden. Even just the wormery, because the kids will absolutely love to show their older brothers, their sisters, the wormeries that we have, and that kind of taking scraps and composting them down. Talking about our soil amendments, I always talk about lava sand and the green sand and the azomite. Do you know what I mean? So just have those on hand with a little explanation as to why and what they are. Fire ants, that's always an issue. It will always come up, "Do you not get fire ants in here? Can the kids come out?" Did we say, "Well, yeah, because we garden with these organic practices, which really helps fire ants as well. But if we do, then diatomaceous earth works really well, but also maybe dried molasses. Maybe we share that we can't do that in schools, but that would work in their homes if they wanted to do it. Texas native plantings, that kind of thing, garlic spray for crickets and, mulching, those kind of things. So I do like to bring a certain amount of at the toolbox or the quiver of answers to questions because I just know that they absolutely come. I also make a note of the topics that came up within that school because each school's different. Each school, they might not have a compost heap that they're showcasing, so that might not come up as a conversation, but if they do and they've got a great composting system, that lots of conversations are going to come at you about composting. So I make a note of the topics and I make a note of the questions, and then I'll go to say the PTA or the administration and suggest that we do some hands-on community family workshops throughout the year where families can come and learn about these practices as well. And again, like you said, the PTA love it. Anybody who organizes these kind of events in school love it when you've got somebody coming offering a subject or offering an event as well, and that works really well. So I do that. Because I will guarantee you will be asked for your gardening advice for sure.
And it's great to say, "I don't know."
No, absolutely.
Absolutely, and don't feel the pressure to find an answer and be
Yeah,
the expert all the time. If
that's
they've
it.
given you a question that stumps you, how great that they'll feel.
Exactly.
It's just like with
It's
kids.
exactly. It's like your kids, and it's like with any other gardening person that you talk with as well. And quite often I'll go and they'll say, "Oh, I had a great year for this year," and I'll say, "God, man, tell me about that because we've had a disaster." The one garden I just cannot grow peas in it, and I think it's because there's lots of mice. So it's not as I stand there as some great authority on it. It is just this really great exchange of gardening chat.
Having extra volunteers that help you at different stations, it
Correct.
frees you up
Yes.
to be able to visit with families without the pressure of doing 2 things at once. So another great reason to have volunteers help you
Absolutely.
with activities so
Yes.
you're free to answer questions.
Exactly. And like you were saying before, a couple of those very keen, very engaged fifth graders are the most perfect people to kind of host the guess the seed number
Yeah.
competitions and that kind of thing. The most amazing conversations happen in school about gardens with
Yeah.
families. It's
Yes.
just so precious. And I really, really do love giving that the space to happen. And I like the way that you had the tastings, established during your own events and carnivals and things like that, because really we grow to eat. Cooking is a universal thing. We all do it and we all have to eat. So tasting events are absolutely fantastic. And then what we did after an open house that happened to coincide with harvesting time was coming into the garden and taking some carrots and things like that. This organic process happened where a cookbook came about, which was wonderful. But then it doesn't have to be as involved as a cookbook. What happened is that families took away produce and then started sending a couple of photographs into their teachers and things like that. And then it kind of with a little bit more effort where we just asked them to write down the basic recipe for it. Then it was popped on social media. They went home and did this with the carrots. And then with just a little bit of a conversation with them about, oh my gosh, just give us the basic how you did that, a photograph of them doing it, the carrots on the garden, them cooking it at home with a little bit of a recipe. And it became a little bit of a thing for a few weeks on social media where they just posted using the ingredients at home. And that was wonderful. So I've seen it go full on cookbook that's then published and sold. And I've gone and seen it with the most beautiful kind of like every now and then a couple of little posts on Facebook about what families have done with produce. And that works really well.
And I think that brings us back to the main idea, which is you want the school garden to be a part
Yes.
of your school community.
Yes.
And so that's a great example of how that pops up. And then knowing social media is so
We're
important.
yes.
The fact it's looped back into social media is another layer
Uh-huh.
of bringing that garden
Yeah.
to everyone.
And it's really funny because I find social media a massive effort, honestly. And I can sit and write with a lot less effort than it takes me to make a post on something or other. But it would appear other people don't feel like that. And it's really
Exactly.
simple. So actually, if we were like asking, so this is what happened at this school with the social media. I think they had these great ideas of wanting to collect it all, put it together. And then there are these companies that will go and allow you to publish for very little money. But just the parents just didn't want it to do it. But when it was reframed and said it was just going to be pushed out onto social media with a photograph, oh my gosh, all the responses.
Great.
Yeah, so that's it. So we know they were just able to text in, "Hey, here's the recipe," and that really worked. So you're gonna do what your parents have got time for, and you're just gonna do the best for the garden you can.
Great.
Yeah,
So we hope this short episode helped you think about how to participate with all the fun things that are going on in the fall at your school. It
definitely.
helps your garden program succeed. It helps you get to know your students better, and it just
Mhm.
keeps the garden in the forefront of the minds of our
That's
families.
it. No doubt. It seems to be the most concentrated time of year for events. So even if you can't man a table or something, then just have a table in the corner with some examples or something like that. And that table can be pulled out time and time again for different events. Even if you can't be there, then just put a few things on the table. Check what's going on in our garden at the moment, a couple of photographs, something, whatever you can, and just get that garden into the mind and really start to kind of, incorporate it and knit it into the fabric of the school.
All right. So we can't wait to see you for our next podcast.
Yay!
Thank you for listening in, and we always appreciate your comments.
We do. And we know you were here early.
That's
We know you were here at
that's right.
6:30.
Thank you. You're
You're in your
listening on your way
You're
to
on your
work.
way. We know. You're in your car. It's dark. We know. We know. Okay? And we are grateful for you. So thank you so much, and we will catch up with you next time.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to hit the follow button on your podcast platform of choice. And share us with a friend, please. We'd love for you to rate us and leave a comment as well. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Made Green, or visit us at our website, www.madegreen.com. Details of today's shows and other resources are in our show notes. Any proceeds from affiliate links shared help fund our school garden programs. We look forward to seeing you next time on the School Garden Podcast.